Greetings to one and all joining us on behalf of the Gallop TV crew. We'll be going through the show this morning and hopefully guiding you in the right direction. Recording on Tuesday, early doors for Wednesday the 16th of October, racing at Hollywoodbets Greyville on the poly track. Looking forward to the meeting. And Warren, each and every meeting, whether it's a grade 1 meeting or it's a full maiden card, we still have that same aura about it.
Sheldon, Mondays for various reasons, there's not always racing, in the country, and we actually get depressed on those days. Yes, there's international racing, but we're talking about our proudly South African racing. So yes, any racing is good for us, and when there's no racing, we do get depressed, yes.
100%. So looking forward to the meeting on the poly track, and let's get straight into the first race, 12:35 over 1400 meters. And let's just take a look at number 8, Mr. Hot Stepper, returning from a 185-day absence, and that ran 5th to a certain Cat's Pajamas first time out. Now let's just dig deeper into that form line. Of course, we've seen Silver Savage come out to win, Run to Rio, Famous Warrior, Glamours came through to win. And then when you look deeper into Cat's Pajamas, he's running the feature races, and he came through to win the Grade 2 Umkamazi Stakes, and after that he followed up with a graduation. So Warren, let's start with number 8, Mr. Hot Stepper from the Glen Cotson team. This is for Sandy and Eugene Urundle. Muzieni jumps aboard. If not needing the run, could certainly win this.
There are obviously certainly two concerns, as you've just alluded to. One is the layoff, and the other question will be, will he take to the poly? The connections are obviously of the opinion that he will, because if they thought that he wasn't a poly horse and he wouldn't definitely not take to the surface, they wouldn't run him, I would imagine. Muzi Yeni is riding at the top of his game. Really lots to like about Mr. Hot Stepper. I would say he doesn't need to be 100% fit to win a race like this. He could certainly make a winning comeback. Yes, Sheldon, he could be anything. He could be absolutely anything.
Now looking at the betting, number 2 McDazzler and number 4 Real War, 18-10 and 5-2 respectively, and then 3-1 about Mr. Hot Stepper. After that it's 8-1. Quite interesting, the Dean Kannemeyer outfit, they hold a very strong hand, and Craig Zaki gets reunited with McDazzler. He's ridden Real War in I think 3 of his 4 runs, so he'll have a good indication of which is the right one. McDazzler has been a little bit frustrating to follow, but perhaps just needed a bit of time and racing experience, and this could be the day he puts his mind on the job.
Sure, he has been frustrating, Sheldon. He certainly has McDazzler. Yeah, he's going to win his race one of these days. In my opinion, is he a punting proposition to go and have the maximum on? No, it's just my opinion, because we've done that before, and we've certainly felt it. But yeah, he's going to win one of these days. There's no doubt about that. He comes from a top yard. Craig Zaki's riding well, so yeah, he can win. But out of the 2 Kannemeyer horses, I prefer Real War. I think there's a bit more scope. There's a bit more progression. He gets the services of Sean Veal. Sean rode a winner for the team the other day. I would choose Real War over McDazzler.
And we saw it the other day with the favourite getting beat by the stable companion. So these are the type of races where you've got to be quite careful. Watch them in the ring. Watch them go down to the start. And then barring those runners, let's have a look. Number 5, Tickerlocks. Decent second to JP's Palace last time when returning to form. But let's see how the first race goes over the 1400-meter trip. Obviously, the Dean Kannemeyer stable hold a very strong hand. But if number 8, Mr. Hot Stepper, can reproduce that Cat's Pajamas run and not needing the run and enjoying the poly, he could be the horse they have to fear.
Race 2 on the program at Hollywoodbets Greyville is a maiden plate for fillies and mares over 1,700 metres, where there's 9 runners. And just to remind you, as we always do, you should know by now that this show is recorded well in advance of the race meeting. Please check your scratchings, your jockey changes, betting moves before taking your final bets, because sometimes we do talk of horses that overnight have been scratched. Please be mindful of that. Second race, Sheldon. This horse, Art Nouveau. I know I'm stating the obvious, but when you look at the opposition, you look at the improvement that this filly put in from run 1 to run 2. I know she was soundly beaten by Coral Blaze, but Coral Blaze won impressively that day. Just cranking her up to the 1700. Cozily drawn. There really is lots to like. The rest of the horses, what you see is what you get. I'm expecting big improvement from number 3, Sasha's Dream. I know West Side Story ran the other day and never placed, but I think this filly can only improve on that debut performance. But yeah, I think 2 could be hard to beat.
I make it 2 from the 3. Art Nouveau, you touched on that second to Coral Blaze, and if you look at the average rating, a 75 in both those heats to date. First run was down the lane at Scottsville, a pipe opener. Then stepping up to the 1400, we saw the expected improvement. The debut run's been well franked. We saw Destiny of Fire come through in a short head second the other day. And being out of the Dynasty mare, Art Deco, daughter of Karari, I think the 1700 could be the winning recipe. So I think they found the ideal opportunity for number 2, Art Nouveau, to get into the winner's enclosure, and I'll tip her to win. Number 3, Sasha's Dream. Very interesting individual. 1200 sprint debut. Things didn't work out for this daughter of Flying the Flag, and they're going straight to the 1700 with Rachel Venica. So Rachel must have given the feedback, and they must have said, we're going to give this one a nice look-see first time out, give it the experience, and then second time at the track showed big improvement. So 2 from the 3. And then what about this horse, number 5, I Won't Give Up? There's just something about this horse that's keeping me interested.
Yes, beautifully bred filly, and Muzieni, who knows this filly well, if she's suited to the poly track, she could certainly liven up and get a lot closer. So that's one to take note of. And then also numbers 1, Perfectly Picked, would have a place chance. 7, Dynasty's Last, could be some value over the page Yellow Jacket. But yes, I Won't Give Up must be factored in. But I think some straight line exactors or boxed exactors, 2 and 3, because you say boxed, you've got to take some boxed and some straight, because you take it straight, it'll come the other way. So 2 and 3 are our numbers. But I do think this filly of Mike Miller's will be hard to beat. They've got a runner later on that I think is going to be hard to beat, and maybe a Mike Miller double could be the call of the day.
So there we go, a Mike Miller double. That could be the call of the day. And number 2, Art Nouveau, the daughter of Karari, sets the scene on that latest run. Moving on to the opening leg of the Pick 6, which is race number 3 over a trip of 1900 meters. And just taking a look at the current betting, where number 7, English Primrose, is your 22 to 10 favourite from 28 to 10. Number 2, Canford Queen, 28 to 10. 5, Off Limits at around 5 to 1. And number 1, Pink Diamond, around 6 and 7 to 1. Now, looking at race number 3, talking about the favourite number 7, English Primrose. Now, Warren, looking at those last 2 runs, runner-up to Doctor's Orders, went up from a 53 to a 57, and now up to a 60 for those 2 seconds. Must be a huge runner, but a slight concern going up in the weights.
Yes, up in the weights, as you've alluded to. It is a 66 handicap, and it's hard to really sort of nail your colours to the mast and say, these are good things. But I really do believe that she's overdue, this mare. She's banging loudly at the door. She hasn't had her victory yet for her new stable, Gary Rich. It's awkward draw as well. I know it's a small field, but it's still an awkward draw. Yeah, I think she's going to go one better. Up in the weights, as you say, that is a little worry. But she would deserve her next career victory, because my oh my, she's been banging loudly at the door.
Yes, number 7, English Primrose. It's been 441 days since that last victory, but in ideal form currently, and even with the merit rating hike, does appear to have found the right field if she's going to win her next race. Number 5, Off Limits at around 9-2 from 6-1. This is a horse that I give a huge chance to. And the reason being that she's been running against slightly stronger, merit rated 80, 76, 82, 82, behind the likes of Woodland Glade, Miss Platina, and Vion's Queen. Dropped 2.70 from the last run. And Warren, although she's been soundly beaten, she has taken on stronger than this.
Absolutely, and I know that she didn't perform well in the Oaks, but the stable thought highly enough of her to put her in the Oaks, in the race that was won by Red Maple. So she's obviously highly thought of, and she's obviously got some ability. You hear it time and time again, the trainers say that they don't lose their ability, they just lose their form. I know she's only a one-time winner, but you're right, she's been racing in tough races. She gets an opportunity today or tomorrow, whenever you're watching this show, to really excel, because she's taken a huge step back in class. This is a filly that could be a good find here.
Now, looking at the speed map for race number 3, I think tactics could be vital here, because you've got number 2, Canford Queen, who likes to be up with the speed. You've got young Damien Pillay aboard. From the 2 draw, Canford Queen will be looking to be prominent. You've got number 6, Elusive Bell, with JC Boerters aboard, a known front runner. Off Limits can be with the speed. Sacred Lily can be with the speed. So we just hope that they play their cards right and they don't go too fast or cut one another's throats.
Yeah, that's a good observation. You're quite right, because that's just going to be the river, as they say, if they're going to do that up front. So let's just hope that everybody does the best for their horse and their owners. Just one more to touch on before we wrap up the third race. And you may think I'm completely balmy, but you won't be alone on that thought. 52 kilograms less for Olisi Mbuto, top 10. I'm certainly not saying that she's a good thing. I'm just saying that she's got upset potential. She's had an excuse in most of her last couple of runs. Not striding out, handy, brushed at the 200, eased, 400, no threat, squeezed. She's just had issues, and yeah, she comes into the race with 48 kilograms. She's never too far off them. And I know I'm going back a few runs, but that 4th close-up to Reckless Love was fairly good. I'll make her a value for swingers, back-end of quartets, that kind of horse.
Well, funny enough, that horse, Little Black Velvet, the other day I liked it around 25-1. And the only thing that I was concerned about was Olisi Mbuto. He'd never had a winner. I think he'd had a second, a third, and a fourth. And I said to Dees, it's about time he has a win now. And he actually gave it an ideal ride. So top 10. From the 8 draw, I think Little Black Velvet was also drawn 8 out of 8. So they might have some plans in mind here, and you could be onto the right horse for the exactors and the swingers. But race number 3, let's see how it works out. For me, number 5, Off Limits. I think this could be the horse they're going to set their sights on. English Primrose, and Warren likes a little bit of number 8, top 10. So those could be the horses, and then Elusive Bell worth including in this event.
Welcome back for the 4th race on the program, which is a handicap at the 72 level. It's going to be run over 2,000 meters, and the carded off time is 2:15, and at the time of recording, all 9 runners are racing. Sheldon, a race where I think that Lucretius could follow up. He did get 6 points for the last win, but he seems to have his mojo back, this horse Lucretius. I know he's not the most genuine. After having chatted to the owners on many occasions, he's not the most genuine individual, but he seems to have his mojo back, his confidence back. He won well last time. They could have found another good race for him, and I believe he can follow up. Front runner all around the world, chatting to Gary Rich, 2,300 was a little too far last time. Back to the 2,300 meters shorter. He can never ever be ignored all around the world. King Bavarian is probably the one that they all have to beat, consistent, but he's testing our patience for that next win, but it looks like it's imminent now, the next win for King Bavarian. Rustanak could be anything, hard to assess, because he's come to the poly once and he won well. He actually switched off the rail and drew off and to win well, Rustanak, so he could remain unbeaten on the poly, but unlikely because I think others are a little stronger. So it's that kind of race. But pushed into a corner, my first choice, the horse that I think can follow up, is Lucretius, but obviously healthy respect for All Around the World and King Bavarian.
Got to agree with you, number one, Lucretius. I remember calling his last race, and when things fall into place for this horse, he produced a devastating finish. He turned it on quickly, very, very quickly. He sped past the field, and Craig Zaki had then stone cold coming to the 300-meter marker. One draw, he's the type of horse who lags off them, he drops off the speed, and all depends on the conditions on the day as well. If they're winning from the front, Lucretius, obviously they're going to have to try and see the race out tactically. You've got horses like Blazing Light, who's a galloper, likes to be there. Circle of Grace is a bit of a galloper. And then number 8, Hiawatha the Goldberg. I made this my value last time out at around 20 to 1. Ran a fair fourth behind Jazz Festival. 2 runs on the poly for a second and a fourth. But Warren, when you go back in his earlier form, he was running behind Voldemort, Northern Warrior in the 80s. And then he ran just under 4 lengths behind Wiccan Warrior in an 86. He's racing off a 69. And I just think if things map out for him, he could be the fly in the ointment, number 8, Hiawatha Goldberg. Despite being a one-time winner and never winning on the poly or over the distance, I make him the biggest threat to number 1, Lucretius, and then number 4, Circle of Grace.
Well, there's some value because Hiawatha Goldberg too has dropped in the ratings down to a 69. And certainly a horse that, as you say, could pop up and make his presence felt, and make his presence felt in a big way. Okay, the 4th race, so you've heard exactly what Sheldon likes. Him and I do seem to think that Lucretius can follow up. He's got his horses as his value. I've got mine. Gel them all together, and let's hope that you can find yourself in the winner's queue.
As we head along to race number 5 over the 1600-meter trip, and listening carefully to this preview because we're looking for some upset results throughout the afternoon in 1 or 2 of the races. And in race number 5, my first selection is going to be number 6, Famous and Rich. Just having a look at the current odds, 14 and 16 to 1. Here's a horse who ran in an 88 last time behind Shoefella. Drops down to a 73, and it's easy to see he was a 96 once upon a time. He's now come down to a 71. I think the blinkers are coming off, the cheek pieces are going on, and if number 6, Famous and Rich, brings his A game to the race course, they won't live with him. But that all depends on Famous and Rich. But at 14 to 1, you can become famous and rich if you back him. You don't have to put a lot of money on, Warren.
You certainly can become famous and rich, and you've got to understand that Sheldon and I live poles apart from each other. He lives up on the hill and I live up along the coast, so we certainly haven't done any note swapping at all, but I'm in his camp, and I just said to Sheldon off air, the fact that he likes the horse that I like, Famous and Rich, at those long odds, it just gives me a little more confidence as well, because we all know that fairly a good judge is our colleague and friend Sheldon. So if he likes Famous and Rich and I like Famous and Rich, I'm going to certainly enjoy watching him run, win, lose or draw. But yes, he's coming down in the ratings. The note I made in my publication here is that he's just huge value at 14 to 1, Sheldon. He's had valid excuses. He gets a jockey strike in the sense, nothing wrong with JC Burtis, he's riding winners, the sense that we've gone from an apprentice to a senior qualified jockey. That's what I mean by jockey strike. So Famous and Rich, yes. Then could this exacta, if it arrives, it'll pay telephone numbers, which is what we want. Tom's Act reunites with Muzi Yeni. He loves the poly. I know this horse has been good to you a few times along the way. That last run was on the turf. He walked out the pen, so we forget about that. They put the blinkers on now, taking the cheek pieces off. I know Doug Campbell's stable, by his high standards, have been a little quiet of late. But this horse, Tom's Act, I think could press our first choice, Famous and Rich, all the way home.
Yes, he's a horse that I've caught right on a couple of occasions when he's won at decent prices, and once again he's trading at around 12 and 14 to 1. So I think our swingers and our exactors could be on song. And then throw in number 7, Daring Act, who's at 20 to 1. So those are the 3 horses, all in double figures. We'll be looking for huge runs from them. And Warren, if we manage to get the exactors or the swingers, we're going to be licking our lips after race number 5.
Absolutely we are. It's that kind of race. And then even number 3, Zoom Bomber. It's owned by Green Lightning Racing Pty Limited, a wonderful initiative from the Cornet Speciard that I'm involved in as well, with a whole lot of owners. But this horse, Zoom Bomber, has been to the Poly 4 times for 3 places. Course and distance, 3 runs, 3 places. So Zoom Bomber could get into the action. But he is making us wait for the next win. But you heard from Sheldon and I, we're looking for the get-out stakes in the middle of the race meeting. We're looking for Famous and Rich, Tom's Act, and we will hopefully have you all joining us in the winner's box. Moving along swiftly to the 6th race, ladies and gentlemen, a handicap 73 level, and 1,600 meters is the distance. It's the Follow Gold Circle on Facebook, and we just urge you to do that, to follow Gold Circle on Facebook, because the team certainly put in a huge effort to give you the best and the most informative content possible. And judging by the followership, the followers and the comments and the likes and the hits, it's a Facebook page that is well received. 3:25 is the race time. Sheldon, as the race meeting inches on, it gets a little tougher, which is what it's all about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A lot of horses, but you can make a case for all of them. Policy of Truth ran a good race to Field Marshal last time. Fair Advantage would have needed that first run back or the first run in the province. I believe that if he takes to the Poly, he'll just about win. He's had a bit of a rating drop. Guardia Regine, the Poly track, if that works for him, he could be the horse to beat. Ingwele for the Mike de Kock stable. Muzieni rides, solid, consistent form. A good first run as a gelding last time. So a tricky contest again.
Yes, looking at the field, 7 of the 9 runners are in single figures. So there's only 2 runners that are out of single figures, 7 and 9. They're both priced up at 20 to 1. The rest of them are 8 to 1 and below, which shows you the open nature of the race. Right. Putting me in a corner, 4 Sweeper Keeper. We've been following this horse for a while. He's run behind Formline Franked, neither here nor there came through to win, and a good victory on that occasion. And Sweeper Keeper's a horse that we've been following for a while. Things just need to map out for him, and I think this could be his ideal opportunity to get that next victory, his elusive second victory. Number 5, Nkwele, 3rd to Jazz Festival last time out, so you've got to give this individual healthy respect. And then number 6, Policy of Truth. I made this a little bit of an each-way strike last time over the 1800. Was reeled in by Field Marshal. I think the drop to the 1600 could be significant, so that's a big runner in my book. And then looking at the rest of the field, number 3, Crested Eagle's a horse I always follow, but I believe he's a better horse up to 1400. So we will include him, but next time we see Crested Eagle over 1400, I think he's going to be the business. But Sweeper Keeper, the horse to beat, and then Nkwele, Policy of Truth, and there's 1 or 2 others who could get into the action. Don't leave out number 3, Crested Eagle, because he is a horse that we have been following for a long time. But when push comes to shove, I believe number 4, Sweeper Keeper, after becoming very consistent, I think he's ready for that next victory. Right, race number 7, we've got 2 hurdles left to negotiate. So if you're playing the last double races 7 and 8, let's hope that you've got the money in the pocket and you'll be playing for free. If you're on the back foot, you'll be looking to get out of it. Looking at the betting for race number 7, they've priced up number 7, Arvernian Goddess, at 18 to 10. And her last 2 runs have been over the 1400. And I just suggested, and I thought to myself, back to a 1200, she could be very lethal because she moves up dangerously, so she definitely must have claims. Number 2, Million Voices. That's the horse they probably got to beat because she ran in an 82 last time behind Icy Lancaster, so she's got a huge chance. And then number 6, Heirloom. Here's a runner who in the past has taken on a lot stronger in the 90s and 1 or 2 little features and that. So Warren, those will be my top 3 horses. Million Voices, Auvergnian Goddess and Heirloom. Do you differ much?
Not much, not much. I am fairly big, Sheld, on A Million Voices. Cosily drawn. She looks to be a beautiful filly in the making. She ran second to Quid Pro Quo in her second start. She shows pace, she shows gas, she beat the Ghost. She's run second to Flying the Star. That was a good effort last time, as you say, in an 82. That was a jump from a 68 to an 82, and she quitted herself quite well. I think she's got ability. She tries for the Polly for the first time. And, this horse, Million Voices, I think may be a little tough to beat. I say may because there's no such thing as a certainty. That's earlier on in the show I said maybe the Miller Double could be the way to go. Second race 2, that is Art Nouveau into the 7th race, 2 Million Voices. So 2 is my selection. Big respect for Heirloom. You're quite right. 4th to Selenio Peninsula, 2nd to Nettleton. If those horses were in this race, they would be odds-on favourite. So she certainly... she was up as a 93 at one stage. She's now racing off a 69. And then even Dawn's Surprise could lurk into the back end of Quartet. So your number is 726. Mine would be 268 as the value. So we don't differ much.
And then if you're looking to throw in an absolute lunatic selection, number 1, Chelsea Flower from the Carl Hurtson stable for Dr. Manfred Rover. And also Carl Hurtson and Dr. Manfred Rover and I often have a chat together. We have a laugh because we're saying his name's Rover, he calls himself Rover the Jova. So number 1, Chelsea Flower. It's quite interesting with names.
Absolutely. I get confused with Manfred's surname, and that's how I try and remember it. Jova. That's exactly his nickname, and he loves it.
100%. So Chelsea Flower worth including in race number 7. However, we believe that number 2, Million Voices, who took on quite a lot stronger last time out, that could just be the right one. And let's see if she'll scream loudest of all past the winning post.
Welcome back to the studio for the last race on the day. The discussion Sheldon and I will take you through. A lot of banter and discussion behind the scenes. That's what it's all about. And you were just talking about the previous race, Sheldon. It was, let me get the race right, Ngwele's race, of course owned by Hollywood. Well done to you and the whole family. That was a good, solid win the other day, Shanta's Pride.
Yes, unbelievable, and it was great for the whole family. And thanks very much to Owen, Devon, and Anthony, the whole team. You know that feeling, it's exhilarating. I called the race, it was absolutely mind-blowing. And then I think I got down to the number 1 box quicker than she came back.
I was thinking that because I was at home watching, and I thought I heard your voice in the run off, and then next minute, boom, you were in the winner's box. So you must have come hurtling down the stairs. That excitement makes you do those things. That's what it's all about, the adrenaline and the excitement. Okay, the 8th race, where Hollywood have got two horses. In fact, let me just double check the 2 horses for Hollywood. That's Paka Imali and Stars in Heaven. And why I mentioned Ngwele and Shanta's Pride and the Hollywood horses, because I want to start the discussion here with their 2 horses, Paka Imali and Stars in Heaven. One is at around 16 to 1, Paka Imali, whom I think is worth including in the quartets. And then interesting runner, Stars in Heaven, having his 3rd run in the province, and he's getting closer and closer and closer to that 2nd victory.
Well, Warren, race number 8, there's a spanner in the works here. I'm throwing in a 20 to 1 shot with Mkolisi Mbuto aboard, number 5, Super Fast, because I couldn't actually find a selection. I went through the field. You look at number 1, Hippocrates, absolutely lethal. 6 wins on the poly, course and distance 4. You look at Preemptive Strike, 4 wins on the poly, course and distance 4. So the number of horses who are poly specialists here. But I've elected to go with Superfast, who's taken on stronger. He's been running in the 90s and stronger opposition. He's dropped to a 77. And once again, it comes down to the apprentice, Mxolisi Mbuto. If he can give Superfast the right ride through, he's run third to Kupaliwe, 4.5 lanes to Don Karori, and on that form, it's good enough. So I think 20 to 1, a nice place bet. Confident. Can't be too confident, but I'm going to take a chance with a 20 to 1 in an open affair. Hippocrates absolutely cruised in and gave that punter the Punter's Challenge the other day when he won on that occasion. And then you got Preemptive Strike, who's as honest as the day is long.
Sheldon, that's why, well, not Sheldon, to the viewers out there, that's why we do the shows most of the time doubled up, teamed up with all the various presenters and racing analysts, because it's all about opinion. Superfast was never in my calculations, but it certainly is going to be in my calculations now, because as Sheldon has highlighted some of those good runs and those good forms in a field where a lot can happen, at a place bet at around 20 to 1, so and an inclusion in my trifecta and quartet. So that's just the beauty of being able to sit and do the show paired up. Superfast, yes, now gets a big tick from me after listening to you. We've gone through the Hollywood horses, you've gone through the rest. But there is one horse I think just before we wrap up the show, we need to go talk a bit about, is Kalahari Roller. And why I say that is I do quite like him. I think he's maybe the one to beat. I say maybe because it's tough. That run when he was ridden by Sayanda Sasibo, when he ran 5th 5 lengths to Rosh Kadesh, his penultimate start. I'm not sure if it was you or your dad that called that race, but I don't know if you remember the Arjabaji and how this horse recovered to run 5th. Just shouted to me that he's a horse to follow.
And the thing with Kalahari Roller is that he's a 3-year-old, so he's still got that improvement factor to come. The horses that we're looking at, Hippocrates, a 6-year-old, Preemptive Strike, a 7-year-old, Pake Mali, a 6-year-old, so Cotton Ron, a 6-year-old. So the improver in the pack, no doubt, Kalahari Roller. He's running an 88 and an 81 behind Rosh Kadesh and Connery. And he's a type of horse who could certainly be a factor. He's the improver in the pack. And if he brings his A game and he's strengthening up nicely, which he should be doing, the Garth Puller outfit, as you see, if the horses are not right, they're being scratched with temperatures and viruses. If everything's spot on, if we get that exacta, either way, Superfast, Kalahari Roller will be in the pound seat. And then maybe throw in number 7, Pake Mali. I've got a sneaky suspicion this could be a horse that runs a real blinder.
Okay, that's the 8th and final race, which was a handicap at the 74 level. And we've given you as much opinion as we possibly can. And yeah, the last race difficult, so include as many as you can. Although Sheldon's stances, places, value, Superfast, I'm going with a bit of a chance, thinking Kalahari Roll is the one to beat. And some swingers and exactors boxed with some other runners. And if they arrive, they should pay handsomely. But that's a wrap from Sheldon Peters and I. The 8 races at Hollywoodbets Greyville. We will see you at the races on Wednesday. And as always, punt well, be safe, be kind, and we will see you from the commentary box and the winners box.